Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. Our today's story is The Price of Loyalty. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any new updates. Let's get started. Once upon a time in a kingdom far, far away, there lived a king who was known for his immense wealth and power. He ruled over his people with an iron fist and was feared by all who lived in his kingdom. The king had a loyal and honest minister named Balaam. He was known throughout the land for his intelligence, quick wit, and loyalty to the king. One day the king summoned Balaam to his palace and gave him a strange task. He ordered him to build a beautiful palace within 40 days. Not just any palace, but one that would be so magnificent it would be the envy of all other rulers. Balaam was shocked by the king's order. He knew that building such a palace in just 40 days was an impossible task. But he didn't want to disappoint his master, so he accepted the challenge. Balaam immediately set to work, ordering the finest architects and craftsmen to start construction. They worked tirelessly day and night, but they were still far from finishing the palace when the 40th day arrived. Desperate to fulfill his master's order, Balaam went to see the king and explained the situation. He told the king that it was impossible to complete the palace in such a short amount of time and asked for an extension, but the king was not having it. He was furious that Balaam had not completed the task, and ordered his guards to take Balaam to the dungeon and throw him into a dark and dank cell. There he sat in the dark for many days, slowly losing hope. He had never disobeyed the king's orders before, and now he was paying the price for his loyalty. One day, while Balaam was sitting in his cell, he heard the sound of footsteps approaching him. He looked up and saw the king standing in front of him. The king was holding a sharp sword in his hand, and Balaam knew that this was the end. The king raised his sword high above his head and brought it down on Balaam's neck. But instead of beheading him, he cut off one of Balaam's ears. "Why did you fail to complete my order?" the king roared. "I gave you 40 days to build me a magnificent palace, but you have brought shame to me and my kingdom." Balaam fell to his knees and begged for forgiveness. He explained that he had tried his best, but it was impossible to build such a palace in such a short amount of time. But the king was not listening. He was too proud and arrogant to listen to his minister's pleas. "Get out of here," the king said angrily. "Don't ever show your face in my kingdom again." Balaam left the palace and wandered into the forest. He was alone, defeated, and ashamed. Know where he was going or what he would do next. As he walked through the trees, he came across a small cottage. He knocked on the door and a kind old woman opened it. She took pity on Balaam and invited him in for some tea and cake. As they sat in the garden, the old woman asked Balaam what had happened to him. He told her everything, how he had been the king's loyal minister, and how he had been punished for his loyalty. The old woman listened patiently, and when Balaam finished his story, she spoke. "You are a brave and loyal man, Balaam, and you have served your king with honor. You do not need his approval to be a good and honest servant." Balaam looked up at the old woman in surprise. "What do you mean?" he asked. The old woman smiled. "You are already a legend, Balaam," she said. "Your name will be spoken with respect by all who hear your story. You have nothing to be ashamed of." Balaam thought about what the old woman had said and realized that she was right. He had done his best, and that was all that mattered. He didn't need the king's approval to be a good and loyal servant. From that day on, Balaam lived in the cottage with the old woman. He helped her with her chores, and in return, she gave him food and shelter. He spent his days walking in the forest and his nights sitting by the fire, thinking about his life. One day, Balaam decided to visit his hometown. He wanted to see if anyone remembered him and how they were doing. As he walked through the streets, he saw that everything was the same. The houses were in the same place, the shops were in the same spot, and the people were going about their daily lives as if nothing had changed. But when they saw Balaam, the townspeople gasped and pointed at him. "Look, it's the king's former minister," they cried. "He's become a beggar." Balaam felt their stares burning into him, but he didn't let it bother him. He had come to terms with his fate and was no longer ashamed of his appearance. As he walked past a group of children, they threw stones at him and laughed as he dodged out of the way. But one of the children, a young boy, broke away from the group and ran up to Balaam. "Are you really the legendary Balaam?" he asked. Balaam looked down at the boy and smiled. "Yes, I am," he said. The boy's eyes widened. "You're a hero," he exclaimed. "I've heard stories about you. You're the most loyal and honest man in the kingdom." Bram was taken aback by the boy's words. He had never thought of himself as a hero, but the boy's admiration made him feel proud. "Thank you," he said. "It was just my duty to serve the king to the best of my ability." The boy looked up at Bram with admiration. "That's what a hero is," he said. "Someone who does their duty with honor and courage." From that day on, Bram became a local hero in the town. The people no longer saw him as a beggar, but as a symbol of loyalty and courage. They told stories of his bravery to their children, and Bram became a legend in the town. So friends, this is our today's story. We hope you liked it. If you want more stories like this, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you won't miss any new updates. And please like, share, and comment on our stories because your comments motivate us to create more content for you. Thank you for watching. See you soon in our next video. Bye-bye.